All right, my man. I was just talking about how you so is the podcast back or what's going on? What are you guys planning?
Um, yeah, so we had that episode with Colton, which was really cool, by the way. Like Colton is probably one of the most interesting people that I've spoken to in a while. But yeah, we had that episode with Colton while I was in NAPF, and yeah, I don't know. We don't have anything planned beyond that. So
Oh, you know what? I mean, like 2 years ago, I messaged both of you, you and Johnny, and I was like, let's do a cross episode. Like, we're I've done it with Sabato, I've done it a bunch of times, right?
yeah,
And I remember you two were like, good idea, but let us get some momentum. Let us actually, string some episodes together and get some
yeah.
momentum going. And I'm like, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. Do your thing, build yourself up. And then freaking you guys, I'm paying attention. I'm like, I'm waiting for this a string of episodes. I'll be like, let's do this, fellas. But
No,
you
yeah.
guys just busy or
So it's a combination of like being busy, but then we both just had like a bunch of life stuff happen. So
mm,
like I got married and this like it just got in the way and the podcast became less of a priority.
yeah.
Um but people love it though. Like whenever we drop, I'm surprised at the amount of like views and everything like that we get. So I don't know, maybe we need to like really lock in and like really get it done. But yeah.
I mean, the toughest part is doing it consistently over time. I can tell you that. Just like consistently committing to doing it and sitting down. I don't know if it's easier or harder with someone else, like with a
How many
co-host.
how many episodes deep is Candle Lives?
Oh, fuck, man. I've been doing it since 2016. So I don't even know, about almost 10 years, and I've never missed a week. And I'll do like several in a week. Sometimes one a week. Sometimes I've done like three or four in a week, depending on. So I don't know, man, but it's a lot. Like
Yeah. What are you gonna do for the 10-year anniversary episode next year?
that's a good question. I don't even know when the actual month is. Let's grab a month. That's a really good question, man. I got to do a 10-year, don't I? For
Mhm.
sure. And a look back,
Yeah.
fuck, I didn't even think about that till right now. But it's worth celebrating if nothing else. Like it's very difficult to do anything consistently like that in powerlifting too, man. We don't have nothing else like that that's just been around for consistently. I mean, even people's podcasts like Mark Bell's will change over time and just
Yeah.
become like, I don't even know if Mark Bell still does it, but I don't know if he's like, he was at one point a powerlifting podcast. At
Yeah.
one point, he actually had like the people of that day, like Jen Thompson on and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then I don't know, it just kind of morphed into whatever the hell it is now. If it's even still going on, I got no idea.
Yeah.
But it's
I,
tough
but I don't
standing
think
time.
I don't think you could do it with like ulterior motives in mind. You have to like just genuinely just love doing it.
Mm.
For it to be that like consistent because I'm pretty sure there are sometimes like today's Labor Day. I don't know, is it a holiday in Canada today?
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like we recorded. It's crazy.
Dog, it's yeah, for sure. I love talking to people though. And so it's not like work in that sense. But I could tell you over the course of 10 years, the amount of co-hosts I've had, like I started, I mean, from people will remember like Big Bill McCarthy, Arian, obviously Rory Lynch, like
Yeah,
before. And but before that, there was like Paul Marinzan. Before that, there was Randy Cook. Like there was like we're talking 10 years ago and 8 years ago. It was Randy 10 years ago, Paul 8 years ago. Like there was renditions, different versions of co-hosts. And obviously, like I commonly have Matt Gary, Eric Helms now, and Rory's still around too. But
yeah,
people forget over the course of 10 years, man, it's been me consistently, but the amount of different people I've had on just because life changes. And I don't expect anyone else to have um, the same amount of like, I'm going to do this for 10 years as me,
yeah.
like in terms of a co host. And that's why I was wondering if having a co host makes it easier or harder to do a podcast. It's easier in that you have someone else to hold you accountable, maybe to be like, no, we got to do this, man. Like
Yeah.
we got to do one this weekend. Just let's do a quick 45-minute or whatever. Like doing that. However, it could be harder if you've got it in your head, like, I don't want to do this unless that guy's doing it. It'll make it easier if he's doing it. But if he can't, if your time doesn't match up, it's almost like a way out. It becomes the opposite. It's like, if our times don't line up, we're not going to do it. Or even if it's like the audience expects you both to do it and both to be on it. So if you both can't, then let's not.
Yeah.
And then it becomes, if one or two of you are busy, you're
Yeah.
just not going to do it.
I think the way that you have it set up is actually the best because you have a kind of hybrid where like if it's a guest episode, more than likely it's gonna be like just you. But if it's like just like one of those like top 10 or like powerlifting
Yeah.
history type episodes, you have like people you could call on and they are like, fairly consistent. So it's almost like you have a co-host for the episodes where like there is no particular guest and it's more so like a topic. And then
Mm.
I guess you could get it done like more quickly because it's just you. Like you could work out your own schedule. So for Johnny and I, that's a big hurdle because if we most episodes we try to have guests, then plus like our own schedules. So it's just like I don't know how like Sabado does it because they like would have like five people on plus a guest, and I'm like, what are you doing? So
Dog, I know, it's crazy. He was like, um, when Germans had the 120s on and had the 83s on, and he asked if I wanted to do it. I'm like, oh hell yeah. And he was like, yeah, you could take the video and the audio and you could share it on King of Lifts as well. It'll be like a crossover episode. So we
yeah,
both share the content. I'm like, man, the hardest part of any of that is trying to get like five different 120s in all different time zones and everything all lined up. So if you want
yeah,
to do that and you take care of that and I just got to show up, oh hell yeah. Because
yeah,
obviously like I've done that. Even like Rory and Eric Helms, even though Eric Helms is American, he lives in New Zealand. It is like
crazy.
crazy time zone changes and trying to square that up when we do like a preview show, recap show. Yeah, it's one of the hardest, man.
Yeah,
However, like if you can do a preview recap show, you got to have extra people on there. But
yeah, yeah,
it does it depends what you want to do. Like it depends if you guys want to do like I'll do science-based ones, and obviously Eric Helms is like a doctor. I'll bring in Kedrick specifically for those, or
hmm
preview shows. Like I'm gonna bring in guests and co-host guests. And if it's just a one-on-one, I'll kick the one-on-one myself. But I don't do you guys know necessarily what direction you want to go in terms of that?
Um, we just do whatever like we find interesting. So like
Mm.
Johnny and I have like a lot of like FaceTimes where like we talk for like an hour or two just like about powerlifting stuff. And we just decided to turn that into our podcast. So like the episodes where we don't have a guest is probably something that we discussed before and we like let's structure this and like just put this out in like and just give our thoughts. So um we don't have like a solid direction, but we want to like touch on like a bit of everything, to be honest.
Because it can change too. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Like nobody's gonna hold if you listen to King of Lifts 10 years ago, dog. I,
you know.
so
I
I would
I think Randy was on my first episode in
what
2018.
really?
After Wills, it was you and Randy. I think I was so like
No
scared. Like I was like, what is going like am I gonna be able to answer these questions? Am I like it's crazy.
really?
Yeah,
Fuck, that was 2018 when you won as a junior.
yeah,
How crazy is it that so much time has passed? Like Randy was the co-host, and people now be like, Randy, like this is so long ago.
yeah,
And it's funny you saying, like, yeah, will I be able to answer these questions? Will it be tough? I remember as the host coming on with like pre-written a bunch of like it was dog.
yeah,
And there were questions like, what was your proudest moment? Which like good questions, whatever. But
yeah,
I would ask the same one every time, and I would, and sometimes I actually do, even now, kind of want to know, like if I'm
yeah,
talking to somebody who had a crazy storied career. Yeah, okay, viable question. But it's so funny how like I was nervous and I had to write every single one of them out. And I would send people an email with the questions ahead of time so they could prep with some stories and shit.
yeah.
Just in case they had to, or
I didn't get that email. I didn't get that email.
Dog, we've come a long way. We've come
Yeah.
a long way, but for sure, things just naturally change over time, anyways. So I wouldn't even fully worry about necessarily a format or because you guys will experiment and decide, yeah, doing different, going in different areas. How was the Colton? How was Colton? Tell me about Colton, because here's the thing. So, I'm probably going to book him at some point to come on the podcast, but
Hmm.
he doesn't do a lot. He doesn't do a lot of podcasts. Actually, I don't even know if on the untested side there is a lot of podcasting necessarily. Now that I think about it,
Yeah.
but what is his deal? He's interesting because he came out of conceivably nowhere. He's only 24 years old, and
Yeah.
he's posting up absolutely monstrous totals. But a couple things about Colton. Um, he's lifting in wraps, which more and more is unrelatable to power lifters because not just the tested, but power lifters, period. Because the IPF and the tested side is so big
Yeah.
that it's become how we're used to digesting powerlifting. And because there is no wraps, for us to see untested, first off, which has like, might have deadlift bars and might have monoliths, etc. But to also untested has gotten quite a bit smaller over the years, I think is fair to say.
Yeah.
And so the tested side has gotten huge with like Sheffield and IPF Worlds as monsters now. So when we see somebody in wraps, it's more and more rare and more unrelatable and more like, I don't like, how much do wraps give you? I don't know. And
Yeah.
why are you using wraps? So the fact that Colton's using wraps somewhat makes him a little different. And then he's got views that are unlike the tested side when he says things like, it's not about competition going head to head. It's only
Yeah.
total versus total. So who cares who's there? Stuff like that, which is
Yeah.
not at all the way the tested side looks at things. And again, the tested side is the by far the biggest right now. So it's not how we're used to digesting things. We want to see head to heads. We
Yeah.
don't totally understand wraps. And Colton himself, he's in South Africa and he's kind of popped up out of nowhere. And I don't
Yeah.
know. It's interesting. He's interesting. So
Yeah.
tell me,
He
what do you views?
he is like I would say he's like early John Hack. So, like John in like the early days was like pretty soft spoken, just like, more like to himself kind of thing. Like that's what he
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of. Um, but as you said, like he looks at things from a very different perspective than like the common powerlifter would. Um, One of the most interesting things that he said on the podcast though is that he said he wish he never took game, which was super interesting to me because I think we were asking him about if he thinks he would be like the best tested lifter if he would like never took gear or anything like that. And he didn't really answer the question directly, but that is one of the things that he said in response to that. But besides that, like he's just very focused on like strength. And that's in like all endeavors, like powerlifting, he wants to do strongman, just like all of it. His life is centered around strength. He drinks like 2 gallons of milk a day.
Oh
Just
my God.
like, yeah, he's strange, but like cool. And yeah, so
He's different. Well, first off, him saying he wishes he never took gear. So he's saying if he could redo it all, he wouldn't. Okay, so this is where it's interesting to me. Why does he not just stop then? Or is he actually alluding to, if I stop, I don't think I'm going to go back to normal? I don't entirely know how it works. I know some people, you can straight up just go back to normal. Your system turns back on, your normal hormonal system will turn back on and you're fine. But
yeah.
sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there might be repercussions. And I don't know, like, did he mention why he doesn't just stop?
I think it was a combination of two things. One is that his whole thing is like his Instagram name is not just an Instagram name, by the way. Like the whole limit breaker thing, like he mentioned breaking limits so many times. I was like, this is truly just like his mindset.
Mm,
Um, and for him, taking steroids is just simply like a pathway to like pushing human limits to like their very brink, you know? So that's all he's like about. So that's one of the reasons why like I guess he won't stop or why he did in the first place. And then like he's just a competitive guy, you know, and like even though he's not competing with anyone directly and he's more so just about like the numbers, I think the fact that he already took what he took and already competed where he competed is like it's not like he's gonna come back to the IPF. So, you know, I think just simply due to that, he's not gonna stop because it would more or less like I guess end his competitive career. So
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess if he's like, yeah, I'm going to stop, take some time off, and I'm coming back to the IPF, people would, because there is people who A, don't go back to normal, but there is also people who B, they do, but they also retain something with your muscles. I remember I had a doctor on years ago when the USAPL first split, and he was talking about drug testing, and because that was part of the discussion at that point in time, and he was talking about how some people the muscles will change, and I'm not going to remember the science behind it, but you could still have gains to your muscle and the muscle growth you got while on
yeah,
steroids, even if you stopped. And if your hormones go back to normal and the system kicks back on, and you can retain some of that gains that you've done to your muscles, I mean, now you're reaping the benefits. Then you go into a tested division and
yeah.
whatever, you're still,
Even if he doesn't, right? Like even if there wasn't science behind it, the the public outrage would just be like crazy. Like like what are you doing? Why are you like even if you take 5 years off and then you come back, it's like, you know, that's crazy. So
I guarantee you. Yeah. Like, can you imagine John Hack said, I'd like to announce I'm returning to the IPF next year? I'll
yeah,
stop taking steroids right now. First off, people go crazy. People would go crazy. That'd be the wildest announcement of all time. But it might even make mainstream news. Like
it might,
you literally could have mainstream people being like, "Did you hear about this?"
yeah,
I mean, for all the wrong reasons, obviously. Even if you're right, even if it showed the science was like he'll retain zero gains, which I don't know, but
yeah,
yeah, people would still go nuts. So, and Fulton saying he wishes he never started. I've had a lot of people like I haven't had as many untested on as I used to, but back when the untested was like pretty hot, I had
mhm,
untested people on all the time. And I had a lot of them say, my advice to anybody listening is don't start. And I wish
yeah,
I never did. Like go the tested route and just do your thing. Don't if you haven't started doing steroids, don't start.
yeah.
A lot of people said that.
Yeah, one of the things he said as well was like he doesn't like the reliance on it. Like imagine like having to take something on like a weekly basis or whatever, and if you don't, you won't be you
Yeah.
technically. So he said like he doesn't like the reliance on it, and I really like put it into perspective is like that's crazy. Like if you don't like take this, you won't be as strong as you are. Like you know, so that was a interesting point, I guess.
Oh, how much of our personality and how we view ourselves is wrapped up in powerlifting. Like
Yeah,
in terms of powerlifting, especially if you're amongst the elite, amongst the 1%, how much of how you view yourself, how you carry yourself is wrapped up in that. Now imagine, yeah, you literally will not be that human. Like not
yeah,
even, oh, I chose to retire, but no. We're talking like whether you want to, not want to, whatever. Like you will shrink in size, you will shrink in strength. It's almost like do you watch the show The Boys?
yeah. Of course,
It's like that freaking
compound feed.
that's right. It's
Mhm.
exactly like that. That's it gives you the superpower. And if you don't take it, so you're not necessarily like waking up like I was born like this. I was born
Yeah,
special. I'm special. You're you're taking a compound to make yourself like that. Now, I mean, obviously, a guy like Colton's going to be born special as well as that, but we're
yeah,
holding him to this crazy freaking standard. Um, but there's a couple things working against him in terms of like the untested isn't what it used to be, and he's pretty vocally saying he doesn't care about competition head to head. And he's
Yeah.
on the other side of the world where not a lot of people are. So he's not popping up at events and whatnot. So he within powerlifting, he might not be as big as he ought to be if he was like from 5 years earlier or if he was in the tested
Yeah.
side. However, is Abs not doing him versus Hack?
I think so. I think they posted like a whole thing about it, the whole like sign the contract, big boy, sign the contract.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
um I don't think he mentioned it because I don't know if it was finalized when we did the podcast, but I think so. Because I think Johnny was telling me he was excited about it. So
But the thing is, there's like a 25 kilo difference in body weight.
yeah,
That's huge. That's
yeah.
a massive body weight discrepancy. We're talking, and the total discrepancy is pretty big as well. So
Hmm.
now Colton's got to come out of wraps, and they're going to have to do dots,
Yeah.
something or rather.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. Definitely.
what do you think? You think this is going to be a super mega showdown, or how you looking at it?
Um, as you said, like I don't think it will be what it would have been 5 years ago, but I still think it would be cool. Like, I mean, if it's not pay-per-view, like I think Untested, they have like a way of like trying to like charge you for the live stream. But if it's not pay-per-view, I would probably watch it. So I think it would be like decently big.
Mm. Yeah, it's tough when they're not in the same weight class. I mean,
Yeah,
there's nothing quite like a head-to-head weight class battle. If you
yeah,
got to use a formula, it's not quite going to hit the same. But
yeah. The thing is, I am a dots guy though. I think like we had this discussion before, but like I am like a fan of formulas and dots. Like I know a lot of people aren't, but me personally, like I like it, so it should be fine for me.
really, you're a dots guy?
I am. Yeah, that was the whole motivation behind 1045. It was 600 dots. So
Oh, really? Um, what about Colton in saying like he's more because even his comment section has some people echoing the sentiments in terms of just posting up the biggest total and doesn't care whether or not there's someone else beside him or not on the day of.
mhm.
What do you think of that?
I think it all comes down to like where untested is versus where tested is. Like in terms of like the point at which the I guess the sport is, even though it's technically the same sport. Because in tested powerlifting, we care like obviously performances are great, right? Like Jesus won the first Sheffield. He had an amazing performance and it made the win even that much better.
Mm,
But in tested powerlifting, like we care more about winning competitions than just like, like breaking, I guess, records or whatever. Like, while that is important and is great, like things like Elliot Sykes just put up like a crazy performance or whatever, and he didn't just win Junior Worlds, he like destroyed it,
yeah.
so it was great to see. I think in tested powerlifting, because we care more about just like simply winning the world championships or winning Sheffield, and not so much about like the actual performance. I think that's where that mindset comes from with us. And the reason why the competitions are valuable is because of all the lifters that are there. So, like, for example, if you go to like a tested meet, like the Ghost Clash or something like that, and only like two of the top untested lifters are there, it's like, well, it doesn't really mean anything if you win the Ghost Clash. However, if you go to 83 kg Worlds in the open division and you have the best of the best, regardless of what you total, it matters that you won because you beat the best of the best, So I think just because of like the state of the like I guess two divisions in the sport, that's where that like mindset comes from on both sides. So
Mm. I do. So the problem, I think, there's a lot to be said for if he's doing crazy huge lists. Certainly on social media, it's going to blow.
mhm.
Certainly, like in terms of highlights, like a John Hack or Colton hitting massive squats, hitting massive deadlifts, or recaps, it'll blow up in like a 60-second highlight. But if you're talking about actual sport viewership, like how many people are tuning in to watch the sport, not this social media highlight, which is a huge difference. When people talk about numbers being done, If you want to talk about social media numbers, that's one thing. But if you're talking about actual viewing the sport, not the highlight, I think it'll be a lot harder if it's not a competition with head to head battles, backstories, the whole nine. If it's literally just watch me do some exhibition lifting against myself. Now I'm watching you exercise as opposed to watch me go head to head with four other guys. I don't know who's going to win. Flip a coin and there's a battle back and forth. And oh my God, at the last deadlift, so and so comes from behind. Even like for instance, the reason why Joe B did 900 at US Nats,
Hmm.
phenomenal, and hitting 900 was fun. But if he just hit 900 by himself and no one else was there, it'd be cool because he's the first 83 to hit 900. But the fact that Taylor came up behind him and loaded up for the win, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, holy shit, is this going to happen? Just that kind of anxiety. Or the 93s the very next day when all of those guys went to war and Keiko wins a sensational battle and Petrie loads up and damn near hits. You know, it's different, even though at the time Keiko hit the biggest PR he had ever done. And if he did that with nobody else there at a local meet, it'd be cool. It'd be like, wow, Keiko hit a big total. Nowhere near the same if you're watching it. If you're just
Yeah.
doing a highlight, if Keiko's just doing highlights of his best lifts on social media, might even get the same traction. I don't know. But watching it viewership wise, like a sport, you got to have more people. You got to.
Yeah. Yeah. The I think you could just simply look at other sports and see that like those like electric moments in sport that like genuinely make you like tingle always come from like it may not be like for example in football, right? Like soccer, it may not be the best goal ever scored, but just the fact that it was scored like in the last minute to like win like a crazy competition or
Yeah.
something like a buzzer beater shot in basketball or like a touchdown that it might be like completely scrappy, just like not great like football, but like the fact that it was done and it won the game in the last minute, everybody goes crazy and you feel something versus just like some like game which nobody cares about, people barely went out to see, and then somebody scores an amazing goal. Is like, yeah, like that's nice for social media and like everybody watch real and it's like, wow, that was crazy. But the feeling and the memory, like you have like old people who were super into sports when they were younger, and they would remember specific moments because of like how they felt in that moment. And the feel doesn't come from necessarily how impressive it was, but it comes more so from like, as you said, it's like the story behind it is like this team came back from like X amount of points down or whatever to like win in the last minute. Like, like you can't beat that. Like you cannot beat that with any number or anything like that. So
I don't know how people don't understand that. Like why people don't get. If we did what you want to do, you would literally kill the sport.
yeah,
If everybody did that and had that attitude towards it, or that view towards it, it would literally kill the sport. We would fall back so far back. The reason why we are where we are is because now we all, even previously, when social media wasn't as big and we didn't know who the individual lifters are, we didn't know them that well. Before there was a lot of podcasts, before people were showing a lot of personality on social media, when you didn't know the people that well, you didn't care as much. Now everyone has an opinion, not just on like Joe B or Taylor or you or Bob, but like they are like, oh, I love that guy or hate that guy, or oh, did you hear what that guy said? And it becomes like something. There's something there. There's a storyline there. Now you're rooting for someone, or you're rooting against someone, or I want Russ to be humbled. Russ loses. Oh, now all of a sudden the guys who were backing Russ, like, damn, they're kicking dirt on us. And then Russ
yeah,
comes back and does what he does. And all of a sudden, yeah, okay, what's up now? That's only possible because Russ is a personality and he makes you choose if you like him or don't.
yeah.
Otherwise, what are we doing? Um, so yeah, I don't know if the people who are saying like did Colton talk about that on the podcast with you? Did he give his views on why he thinks no, like he's actually pro not competition. He's
Yeah.
actually like leads in the know. it actually would pull me back to have someone racing beside me and for me to try to just beat that person.
Yeah. So his thing is that like I think he said that even if he is in a competition, because what we were talking about is the fact that being in head-to-head battles artificially brings down your total, right? Which is just simply a fact because you're pacing yourself a little bit more, because you can't afford to miss lifts, right? Um, that's just it just makes sense. But I think what he said was that his mindset is even if he is in a head-to-head battle, he is swinging for the fences. So for him, it doesn't matter. Like he will do like a local meet in South Africa and do the exact same thing that he would do in a head-to-head with John Hack. Because for him, it's more about like the numbers and what he wants to hit rather than, okay, how could I pace myself to like beat this person on dots or to just like chip this person's total or whatever. And again, like I think all that just ties back into the fact that the competition itself is just isn't important to him. As in like whatever meet they do with that, if it's like the abs, whatever they call it, it's just not important to him. You know, like as a world championship might be to someone else. And I think you had said it previously on some podcasts, you're like, you could hit a PR every day of the year, but you could only be a world champion one day of the year. You know, so I think for him, it's just about the numbers because maybe there is nothing more, on the untested side as of right now.
Does he does he or do you think untested lifters, period, watch tested powerlifting much?
So I would be surprised if he does, just because of like his like mindset and everything like that. But I do think that a lot of untested lifters watch tested powerlifting, especially like the the good stuff, like Sheffield, like certain like heavily hype battles going into like a world championships, things like that. It would be amazing to me if like John Hack just says like, yeah, no, like I didn't turn on wheels this year at all. Be like, that's interesting. Like, yeah, like I would think that's cap personally. So
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think tested watches untested that much though. The thing is,
yeah,
they just haven't built the year over year events like that though on that side. You wouldn't necessarily even it's a little bit all over the place, right? You wouldn't even necessarily know what events you're tuning in for year
yeah,
over
and,
year.
and and I think Abs is doing like a better job of it, but in untested for a while, you just didn't know like why the competition mattered. Like even if I knew like this competition was going on, it's like, well, why does it matter? Like, like what am I watching to see? Just like somebody hit like a huge lift. Like, that's cool if I like know you, but like
Mm,
besides that, like what is the significance of this? So like if they position the Colton versus John Hack thing correctly and like they really build the backstory on social media and like say like this is, for like the pound for pound king, like, like will John Hack be the throne type of thing. It's like that could make a lot of tested people watch it because it's like
agreed.
obviously like everyone knows John Hack and to see him have like for the first time in forever like a chance of being dethroned is like people will tune in, but they're not gonna tune in just to like I didn't watch Colton deadlift 500 kg live. Like it was cool on social media, but I didn't watch the live stream, so yeah,
So what I'm saying is, yeah, you'll just catch it on social media. I don't need
yeah,
to watch the live stream. I don't need to tune in on a specific time and set aside my time to watch you pull 500 kilos live. I'll just catch
yeah,
it on social media after the fact whenever the hell I want to.
yeah,
That's the difference between it for sure. And if he's doing like a deadlift bar and he's got wraps and stuff like that, a monolift, it is so different than we're used to that it's not necessarily comparable. You'll see crazy numbers and you'll be like how crazy is it? It's crazy, but how crazy? I don't know. If that's
yeah.
the whole thing, it's not a sport head to head, but it's just watch how crazy this is. I'm not sure how crazy it is. Like obviously it's big, but it loses some context
Yeah.
in terms of the whole thing. Now he's a phenomenal talent, but it's in a bit of a weird situation here. I got actually, let me take a look at okay, there's Colton's dots. The heaviest dots he's got is 688. That's in wraps. And John's dots outside of wraps,
It's 670
665.
something. Oh, 665. Yeah.
So I don't know how the hell this works, man. If you take your wraps off,
Uh,
I don't know what the saying. I still don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. What are we doing? It's difficult.
yeah. It, I don't know. Like, and this is where like the like abs media team needs to do like a good job of like just presenting these stats in such a way that anybody could just look at this and immediately understand like, okay, how close is this? Like, what does John need to do to protect his title? What does Colton need to do to like,
Mm,
like what do what percentage do raps typically give? Like, things like
mm.
that. So, because I don't know either, to be honest. So
It's difficult. I respect the fact that um, if you're trying to create head to heads, create big showdowns, do something in the untested side, because that's what they're missing. But
yeah,
it's a stitch. It's difficult because you're trying to build something and you don't necessarily have all the blocks in front of you yet. And another stumbling block is dots is not universally used anymore. Like the IPF is definitely the biggest fed and it uses good lift points. And there's a
yeah,
lot of power lifters. Like obviously the people you want to tune into your sporting event are going to be powerlifters and the powerlifting community. And
yeah,
huge sections of the powerlifting community don't use dots at all. Don't know what a good dots is, what an average dots is, don't use them at all. So then if this is going to be done with dots, you've lost like 3% of your potential market. It's very
yeah.
difficult. I mean, I respect the fact that events are trying to be put on, but it's a tough one.
Yeah, abs. This was hilarious. I was talking to my wife about it. So Abs messaged me. I think it was last week, and they were like, "Are you staying IPF next year?" And in my mind, I was like, "I'm barely even. I barely even came back. Why would you message me that? I might stay in IPF next year. I didn't even do words.
Dog, I just got a toe in the door, let
Yeah.
alone my foot. Let me, let me, let me. Okay, so let's talk about you, by the way.
Mhm.
So what was your reaction when you found out Bob Matthews is going to be doing SPD Austin?
Yeah. I was so obviously like everyone knows like I'm doing SPD Austin and I'm also doing the Advances meet.
Mm.
So I was surprised just because like I thought the next time we would see Bob compete would probably be like P and Nats or something like that. Um, because uh obviously like it was only like what like a week after his social media hiatus that um it kind of got announced. So I was like damn, like like I thought he just getting back to trading type of thing. So I was surprised and he looks pretty strong in his training. But I'm excited for it. Like I think even he said that like this is really just like part one. This is really just like I guess like a preview. I think it's probably my meat to lose. Um, but I think my initial reaction was just like surprise, but also like excitement.
Okay, so a couple things we got to unpack on this. First off, how crazy is life that a year ago, Bob had won Worlds and was saying no thank you to Sheffield. And it was a big discussion, et cetera. And because he's not an SBD athlete and whatever. And then it fast forward a year later, oh, I'm an SBD athlete and I'm doing SBD Austin 100%. If I get an invite to Sheffield, I'm 100% going. Like, my do things change quickly, right? Like life is funny how quickly things can turn,
Yeah.
and you just don't see you don't necessarily see things coming. And then from the hiatus on social media, like altogether hiatus, complete hiatus. Nobody knew, and if he didn't lift until next national, that would have been an incredible amount of time of not lifting. It would have
Yeah.
been Worlds June 2024 all the way to like April 2026. Would have been crazy. And
Yeah.
as a fan of powerlifting, that would be a freaking shame to lose him for that long. So I'm grateful he's coming back. I'm grateful as SBD Austin, which is like freaking stacked. And obviously you're going to be there. Um,
Yeah.
so whatever, all is well that ends well. The competition's on and popping now. But there's a
Mhm.
couple things. First off, yes, you got a competition right before SBD Austin. And you
Yeah.
openly said when you got invited to do PA Nats and you're at US Nationals, the
Mhm.
fatigue had murdered you. You had generational fatigue. You showed up, you still did a good showing, a good total,
Yeah.
but no doubt your total came down to like full potential peak Rondell if you like only focused on that. Going into this,
Mhm.
and is Bob Matthews there?
Yeah.
And even if you're the favorite, you know you do not want to get caught lacking.
Yeah.
He's if you show up, and I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, you correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming you heard the podcast. He was saying if you show up PA Nats version, you're gonna catch an L. Like you have to show up 100%. Did he not say that, or did I just make that up? I don't know.
So I think he said that 1010 is in his wheelhouse. So 1010 was what I did at PNAT. So he didn't say those exact words, but it was along those lines that if I was to hit a total like that, it would, yeah, like he would be right there, probably even beat me. So makes sense.
Because he's done 1020 in the gym for what it's worth, and he doesn't have to
Yeah.
cut weight. Um, so having said that, it's exciting that you have to be at 100%,
Mhm.
or somewhere thereabouts, which is exciting because you want to see somebody like we were already saying, you want to see someone in a competition, you want to see somebody pressed, you want to see somebody where it's like, fuck, if Rondell misses this third squad, wow, the door might have opened up. Like you need to have those conversations, otherwise it's not as fun. But you got a competition right before this one.
Yeah.
Now and you know what fatigue can do to you. So
Mhm.
how are you approaching this?
Yeah. So in the competition, in the advances meet, I'm gonna be against Nonso. So they are bringing Nonso out and then Bob. So essentially, like two of the best 120s in the world are gonna be facing off against, but in separate meets, right? So coming into it, like I definitely think that I can be 100%. I think one of the reasons why for PNATs I wasn't like 100% there is not even just because of like training and everything like that roughly like 5 6 weeks before but it was more so like everything that I had going on. Like obviously I got married like a week and a half before P and that. You can imagine like the time leading up to that with planning and
Hmm.
everything. I just wasn't locked in. Like I was going to bed at like 2 3 a.m. some nights, protein all over the place, just buying food. Like it just wasn't like how I usually am. So that obviously played into it. So I think that I will be good at SPD Austin. I think I will be good for easily 1060 personally. And if I need more, I think it would be there. Um so yeah, I don't think it's gonna be like a issue because I settled now. I don't have anything crazy going on. The recovery will be there. So
So for the first meet, you're thinking, what you got to beat Nonzo, and
yeah.
Nonzo's good,
Mhm.
but you're thinking post up like a G should do it, or is Nonzo? Because here's the thing, he's a young guy. I think he's way stronger than he showed at Worlds. If he pulls it
Mhm.
all together, 9 for 9, where do you peg Nonzo at if he pulls a 9 for 9 top end potential day?
So I think right now actually Nonso is in like a singles block or something like that. He just doubled 405, which is 892. And I think honestly, like this single that he's about to hit could honestly be like 415 to 420. Worlds I really think was a fluke. That 400 at Worlds, I think that was a fluke. Just a bad day with the heat and everything at the venue. I think he could get close to 1,000, if not hit 1,000 at thing. Obviously, it's like a bit of travel for him as well. Coming to Texas. Um, but yeah, I think 1,000 should be good. The more important thing though, like the total, I'm not worried about just because like I think total should be easy. Um, I'm more like deadlift. Like I need to out deadlift him. So that's like just like my personal goal at that meet is I need to out deadlift none. So and then I think the total will come with that. So
Here's the thing. Okay. What was the deadlift that gave you generational fatigue? 925 or
937.
425? 425, sorry.
Yeah, 425,
Um,
930.
dog, and you're saying Nonzo, you put him at 415, 420 deadlift. So
Yeah.
now we're already talking about 425. Rondel, we
Mhm.
can't do this twice where you do something around 420 and
Yeah.
show up with generational fatigue. And Bob's like, I warned you.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta be careful. This is it's interesting. I'll tell you right now, this is interesting as hell. But if you do what you say you're doing and you're deadlifting around 420-ish, and then you show for Bob, this is gonna be a good one, man.
Yeah.
I don't
The
know.
thing is like I don't need to pull 425 to be Bob, to be honest. Like I Bob is like great, exceptional lifter. Like I like he's probably one of my favorite lifters, but like realistically, I genuinely think that I would only need 405 to beat Bob. And that's
Well, you'll
like
need the total though. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying. 425 fatigued you so bad that your total came down to 1010. And Bob is saying, if you do like, so you could say, if you do 425 against Nonzo and you
Mhm,
do 1010 total,
mhm.
Bob is going to be like, I think I got 1010. I might have 1020. I might have 1025 or 1030.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying, not just the deadlift. Like,
But that was 1010 with a 326 deadlift. Sorry, no, 370 deadlift, 826 pounds. And so and that was like a YOLO jump to what did I jump to? 906 from
mm,
826. So realistically, I wasn't at 1010. I was probably at like 1035, I think. Um, so that combined with the fact that like as I said, like in that period between Avances and SBD, like I'm gonna be like just hyper chamber, recovery mode, just everything.
mm.
I think I'm gonna come out. I think I'm gonna be 100% at both meets, in my opinion. I don't think bouncing back is gonna be a problem.
It is going to be fun to watch, though. It is
Yeah,
the fact that Nonzo, I mean, Bob's going to be like, Nonzo, push this man. Push him
yeah,
as hard as you can. Load up that last deadlift. Let's see what happens.
yeah.
And do you agree that this is like in terms of do you have an opportunity to stomp this out and put this to bed by winning so dominantly against Bob? Because we've been anticipating the Bob showdown for quite some time. Nonzo, no. Nonzo, he's got like he's so young. You have even if you were to cream him by 100 kilos, like 5 years, everything changes.
Yeah.
Nonzo, it doesn't matter. You're not going to kill him off with one final performance. But with the Bob, showdown, and we've been watching you two circle each other for a couple of years now. And Bob is saying this will be one of a series.
Mhm.
But do you think you might have an opportunity to win so dominantly you could put that to bed? And yes, you might face each other several times, but it'll change the conversation that no, I think I could be the front runner, and now people will be like, no, Rondel's got this from here on out. Do you think you have
Yeah.
that opportunity?
Um, I think it's more so like on Bob's performance actually, because the thing is like, as I said, like I probably gonna be coming in with like 1075, like capable of that. And I'm probably gonna be like pacing for like 1065, 1070. So it's more so on his performance. Like if Bob comes to this meet and does not hit 1,000, then like I don't know what to say. Like personally. So I think it's more so about how much Bob over or underperforms like his expectations versus my actual performance. Because if I come in at like, let's say I finish off at like 1070 at the meet, and then Bob is, 1050, that is like, like even though I won, still a
Yeah.
conversation to be had. But if I come in at like 1060 and Bob is, like 995, then yeah, that says a lot more about Bob than it does about me. So
I think I agree with that assessment. It is really on Bob. Bob saying this is part one and I'll continue to close the gap. That is true. I think to your point, if he does, even if he does like 1030, there's a difference between, and if you do 1060, 30 kilos is big, but when you're over 1,000 kilos and we're talking, that's a difference between a deadlift attempt or something, right? It's a one miss and all of a sudden we got ourselves a battle. Okay, we could deal with that. So I think of Bob, and I think Bob, like he did 1020 before in the gym, so he's capable. Like it's different in the gym. I got it. But to your point, if he does under a G and does 990 something, even though that's a phenomenal total,
yeah,
people aren't gonna, it's gonna be an emphatic win will change the conversation.
yeah.
If it's
I
too
think
big of a gap.
I think coming into 2026. So the thing, so obviously we have Junior Worlds coming up here, the 120s, I think, on Friday. And then we have the Avances meet, then we have SPD Austin. I was thinking that for open wheels, we would have somebody hit 1,000 in the 120s, right? That, obviously didn't happen due to competition and whatever other factors. If someone else doesn't, or like at least two people, if not three, hit 1,000 by the end of the year, I'm gonna be disappointed. Personally, I'll be extremely disappointed in the weight class as a whole. And because I feel like so many people have been talking about it, um, that it kind of needs to happen, and the guys are expecting it from Bob, I guess first and foremost, Nonso, and then also Joshua and Goka. That's the guys I'm
Oh,
expecting. Yeah.
wow. So Joshua, and he's at Junior Worlds.
He is. That's where I'm expecting it. Yeah.
Pretty wild that the two juniors are the ones leading the show. What did you think about Anthony McNaughton clapping the 120s at Worlds? This is
Yeah.
2 years in a row now, man. The 120s, I don't know. To your point, maybe I think people were expecting a little bit bigger totals.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying like the weight class as a whole needs to get above that 1,000 mark. Like I think going forward at like world championships and stuff like that, like 1,000 is probably like it probably needs to become the standard because we have 105s creeping up, we have 93s keep creeping up. At this point, we have 83s creeping up. It's like why are our totals all starting with nine? That's crazy. Like we need to, yeah,
You can't have 83s in the nines now, and the
yeah,
120s are also in the nines.
exactly. So I need to see it from at least one guy, if not like two or three. So
And for yourself, um, we know the rest of 2025 and 2026. As far as you know, it's nationals and worlds, and the world is back to being right again. And oh my gosh, we're gonna see that run. Like that's what we're told. That's what you know. That's what it is, right?
yeah, definitely. I think it's almost like if you don't want to say like, oh yeah, like for sure I'm gonna be at Willis next year just because of like, what unfortunately happened this year. But I guess I could say with certainty that like I will be doing Trinidad's nationals next year and then I will be at Wills. So
And when is the nationals for Trinidad?
So they announce it pretty late, but usually it's like January, February. So it'll
Mm,
be one of those dates.
okay, gotcha. And then yeah, we'll be marching to Worlds, and then obviously Sheffield's in a stadium, which will be absolutely bonkers. But I agree with you in terms of so I mean I can't believe it'll be 2018 to 2026, but we're gonna see you back at Worlds. It'll be the craziest.
Yeah.
It'll be the craziest that you finally return to the World Championships. And
Yeah.
here we go.
I was thinking about it the other day, like how I would feel like getting back to there and like hopefully winning my first open world championship. And like I don't know, like I don't even know the emotions I would feel because it's been so much stuff that has happened and so long that like I don't know, like I felt like I should have been an open world champion like in 2019, like the year after, my thing. So it's crazy.
Well, you out totaled the Open when you were junior and you won.
Yeah,
I mean, you could have been an Open World Champion that day,
yeah,
or that Worlds, anyways. It's been a while. It will be freaking absolutely. It'll be weird just commentating and seeing you on the platform at Worlds.
yeah,
That'll be crazy, and you're battling the world's top 120s. Um, but long overdue, man. Holy freaking smokes! But how excited are you to be able to battle like Nonso, Bobb Matthews, the end of 2025? Both those guys back to back meets. You were at U.S. Nationals. You got to battle all the Americans at U.S. Nationals. 2025, although we're not Worlds in Sheffield, you're still having a you appear at U.S. Nationals, which is big, a very big meet. The powerlifting community in the U.S. was there, so they got to take you in, and you were a part of it. And then having head to heads like this in 2025, and these are not small head to heads.
yeah.
Going head to head with Nonso, going head to head with Bobb Matthews, these are the head to head matchups that you've been craving and looking for. How important is 2025 for you the way it's wrapping up?
Yeah, it's huge. I think it's important as well because like if I was, let's say for example, I didn't have any meets from 2023 all the way to like nationals and then worlds. I think I would have felt like a little bit rusty. I think that's something that like Russ had spoken about as well after like he had a little bit of a hiatus. Is like returning to the platform after like some time, regardless of how seasoned you are, regardless of how prepared you feel. It feels weird. So I think having the opportunity to go up against like, two of the best 120s in the world on, like big platforms will do me good for nationals and then for also like obviously the world championships and beyond. So I think is important because I think it would improve the quality of my performances in 2026.
You think one of the fellas from Team GB at Junior Worlds can do 1,000?
I So again, like just like we spoke about with the whole Colton thing, I think the most important thing is winning.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know if Matt Gary is he the head coach for Junior Wells for GB?
I believe so. I think he signed a contract for a year and he's doing all international meets. So I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember if the caveat is open teams or if he's junior as well. But I think I know where you're going with this. If it's Matt Gary, he very much emphasizes just winning. The big thing would be could the two juniors push each other where maybe a G, if they're both like Joshua and Nonzo are both floating around a G, they'll push each other to that mark. And I
Yeah.
don't know, because Joshua's an absolute monster himself. Like he
Mhm.
might, like they might actually have to do 1,000 to win. Maybe it's conceivable, anyways.
You mean Joseph, right, from Trinidad?
Or no, no, hang on. The other, the Team
Joseph
GB
and
junior.
Joseph and Joshua. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
But also Joseph from Trinidad as well
yeah.
is also a junior going to Junior Worlds and also an absolute. He's also phenomenal. I don't
Yeah.
know. He might be able to push it as well. I'm not sure. Like it depends on the temp selection, yada yada.
Yeah. I
Anyways,
I think is either like either they push themselves, like push each other to 1,000, or like one of them just has to be so far out ahead that like doing it doesn't matter, you know? So is either one of those things? Because if it's like close and like they in the 960s, 970s, then they're probably gonna like, just like do what they need to do to win. So we'll see.
because Joshua from Britain did, yeah, so he almost did. I'm just pulled up his Instagram. He did 980 and he went for 1,000 kilos, but that last deadlift, he didn't get that last deadlift. Now
Yeah,
he's 20 years old. So
yeah,
Joshua himself, by the time Junior Worlds rolls around, who knows? And then Nonso, and then of course Joseph McDonald. It's possible. Put it this way: if first off you hope Nonso for yourself, you got to be I'm assuming you'd be rooting for Nonso because if Nonso doesn't win Junior Worlds and either Joshua or Joseph wins Junior Worlds, the steam has really been taken out of Nonso in your showdown. If
yeah.
Nonso wins and
Nonso isn't doing Junior Worlds.
he isn't,
Yeah, no, it's just Ngoka and Joseph.
oh, okay. Well, how do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
Um, Great, because that means like he's gonna be in better shape for the
That's
advances
true.
meet. Yeah, actually excited about that.
Yeah, here's the thing: if Nonso did Junior Worlds, it would be an opportunity to post up a massive total and double down on the hype versus you.
Hmm.
But if he did Junior Worlds and didn't win, the opposite would happen. It
Yeah,
would take all the wind out of that showdown. You'd be like,
yeah.
ah, shit, man. Now you lost back to back meets and you're going against me. It's not, it's not as good. I don't know how I feel about that. Did Nonzo say why he's not doing Junior Worlds?
Um, no, he didn't actually. I don't know if he's not doing it to let Joshua do it. Um, it could be that, or maybe he just didn't try to. No, yeah, I think it was the injury that he picked up from Wills with
Mm,
like his shoulder and everything like that. So I think he just decided to like, just do the Avantis meet and then prepare for like the for 2026. So
mm. I mean, he's 20 years old. These guys are all young as hell. So we'll see. What do you think's going to happen at Junior Worlds then? If you got to pick between Joshua and Joseph,
um so I obviously want my countryman to win. So
mm.
I would love if Joseph wins. Um but just on like strength and like attempt selection, like if Matt Gary is there and Joshua is a stronger lifter, Joseph would have to do something incredible to win. So I think that Joshua is going to win, but I would
Mm.
like for Joseph to win.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, if Joshua's stronger, and like you said, if he's got Matt Gary, probably not going to be very many opportunities to bump
Yeah.
ahead. Like Matt Gary doesn't make very many mistakes out there, so it's going to be a difficult proposition. And moving forward, more than likely, Trinidad will send both you two as 120s, right?
Yeah, more likely, yeah.
I mean, because the only reason why you wouldn't is if you had like such a stacked class. But how the heck you would have to have like a completely full team? Like it'll be the how crazy would it be for Trinidad sending two 120s, both you guys capable of like because Joseph can probably do top five even in a super stack class with Bob there.
Yeah, he could. I think that would be insane. Like if well, obviously GB has like pretty much every weight class like stacked, but they have sent two 120s before, like Indy and Tony and stuff like that. So if they do that again next year with Joseph and Nonso, and then Bob, and then me, and it's it's just gonna be crazy to be honest. So
120 and all you guys gotta drop the hammer. No more. I mean, with you around, I can't imagine anybody you guys getting clapped by a 105.
nah, that's crazy.
That's dead. That's dead, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's that funny business is never gonna happen again.
yeah. Hey, Zeus is gonna don't get clapped by a no 120.
Zeus, don't get clapped by a 120.
Yeah.
Can you can you imagine how when do you think you like because Bob was talking about doing 1100 and
Hmm.
obviously you're talking numbers in 2025 that are pretty close.
Yeah.
What are we looking at for you for 1100?
Um, so I was thinking I might be capable of it this year. Training is pacing decently. It has been better. But I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna put like a timeline on it. Like I just want to more so like put together great performances. Um, I don't want to get like married to numbers. Like for example, at PA Nats, like I had opportunity to post up, 1035, 1040, and I was just like, I need to pull the heaviest deadlift ever in the IPF. And I loaded something I just wasn't ready for on the day. So I don't want to get married to numbers and say like at this meet I am gonna do this. I just want to
Hmm.
like pace myself and put up like exceptional performances that's like one after the next. So but I think in 2026 I will have like if you add together my one rep maxes in 2026, I would be surprised if it wasn't 1100.
I want to if you add them over meets, you mean?
Yeah, like if you just add them from training or meets or like just my best that I've
Dog,
done.
what kind of funny business are we talking about right now? Stop it. Stop it. I want to pull up Jesus's last few performances. Okay. So he did at Worlds this year in Germany, 1070.
Yeah.
And then his last two meets before that were 1112.5.
Hmm.
Right? Because when you said, nah, there's no way 105s are clapping the 120s when I'm home. And
Yeah.
then you're like, it's more like Jesus don't get clapped by 120. And I kind of like laugh, but he did 1070. Now he got injured,
Yeah.
but he was also doing 1112 and a half the two before that. It's actually not that crazy. If you did 11, you're only 12 and a half kilos behind.
Yeah. No, it's not like when I saw his Wills performance, obviously that was like a super like just unfortunate meet for him, but like it was just like if he keeps floating around that like 1100 mark, like we're gonna slowly creep up. And it won't even be out of like malicious intent on my part. It would just more so be like I just need to stay ahead of these like, guys coming up. So yeah.
I mean, there's nothing malicious. I mean, this is competition, man. It is what it is, right? Here's hold on a second though. So Jesus did 1070. Now I'm freak. You really got me thinking now. Now I need to know who might leave with the biggest total in 2025. Hold up. It's Jesus. Ah, okay, gotcha. In Sheffield, he did 1112.5. Okay.
Okay.
You're number two right
Hey,
now
Jesus
with
is
your
also doing
1010.
SPD stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dog, dog. If he does, he better be 100%. You
I would say that like that's crazy.
I don't know. What would happen if he isn't 100%? What would happen if you out totaled Jesus head up?
I think he would just go into like I think that's what would spark him to like come back with 1160 or something.
We're doing a no BS KOTL crossover episode. That's what would happen.
It
We're
would.
finally we're finally getting that momentum going. We're making it official. Friggin' no, dude, you I mean that'd be absolutely insane if
Yeah.
you went head up with him. And I mean, yeah, I mean I anticipate he'll be 100% back to being 100% again. But holy freaking smokes, SPD Austin's gonna be absolutely fireworks, man.
Is
Who
gonna be
knows? But
a lot of like weight being lifted. Like between me, Bob, Jesus is gonna be like a lot of like exciting lifts at SPD Austin.
The three of you, I would be like, I think Bob is going over a G. I think Bob is going to have something big. That's three of you fellas doing 1,000 kilos now.
Yeah,
It's one meet. That's
yeah,
crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And Jesus, I think when I interviewed him after his last win in Worlds, he was somewhat hinting towards like he's not sure how much longer he'll be doing this. I
yeah,
mean, he's 400-pound man. I'm sure there's aches, pains, etc. Like we said, he got injured at Worlds. I forget what the injury was, but it was a tough one. So he had to scratch his last squat, and Deads wasn't there like he wanted it. But he's got one more, and he beats Ray's record for because they're both at 5.
yeah,
And the next win will be 6 open world titles, which is freaking crazy if you think about it.
yeah.
But he's thinking about wrapping it up. What do you think? Do you think he should keep pushing or
Um, I think that's only a decision that he could make because I know like he just had his kid. Well, was it last year or like earlier this year? I don't know, but
recently?
yeah, recently. I don't know. Like powerlifting is like it could be a lot on your body. It does also take like a lot of like sacrifice as well at the highest levels. Like the and that's one of the things as well that like is frustrating to me. Like the last few years of like me not being able to like go wheels and everything like that was just simply me making sacrifices and turning down like family time because I have to like bench on a Sunday and like a bunch of different things. Um with at least for me because I wasn't able to compete and whatever, like with no real upside. So I think if he's at a point where like he just values um those things more, then I could see why he would want to turn it down. But I do feel like if he needs to have that one more like big meet though, like it can't be that Sheffield 2023 was like his biggest meet. Like I think we all know that like he's capable of more. Um like some of his deadlifts in the gym, like I think he almost pulled like 950 in the gym. Um, you know, I think he's capable of more. So I don't know how important that is to him, but I do think that he needs that like super meet before he signs off. So
I still got his stats pulled up. So after that monster Sheffield, where he did 1152.5. And in terms of it was the first Sheffield, the inaugural Sheffield, the Sheffield we've all been waiting for. And Jesus dropped the biggest total powerlifting has ever seen in the tested or the tested. Like those things together make it
yeah,
such a memorable performance. The fact it was the first Sheffield. So
yeah,
the anticipation was crazy. In the fact that Jesus didn't just put up pound for pound the best we'd ever seen in powerlifting, but period, kilo for kilo, we've never seen a better performance any athlete ever, tested or untested. It was such a special moment. Like if he quits right now, he'll always have that. And I think like I'll always remember that. And I've been commentating for a long time. However, after that moment, the next worlds, he did 1080. Then he did 1113, 1112, 1112, 1070. So there's some spots of vulnerability in there.
yeah. The thing is like as like a heavier lifter, because I even like experience it sometimes, like I did with like the 425 and everything like that. Like it requires so much for you to like recover from some of those lifts that you do. So like those like huge performances that you would have or like those big gym numbers and stuff like that, like it takes a lot. Like you need to like really dial in because like beyond just like your muscles, which could take the load because you trained up to that point, like your nervous system and everything like that is just like like shot. So
Hmm.
repeating performances like that 11:52 uh is tough. So like I think he's still good for it, but like to be able to do 11:52 just like year in year out, Um, I personally didn't expect it from him just because of like my own experience in the gym and stuff like that. But I think the performances he's done have still been like great, but I think he could still have like a huge uptick to like 1170, 1180, you know? So
I agree. He's only 26 years old. By all means, he's capable. What do you think it is though? Because as of recent, it's the deadlift that's gotten
mhm.
away from him. And I'm not sure what you do to fix it. And I also agree, like a mislift, and also if you're just looking at the scoreboard, if he misses his last deadlift, the swing in kilos is monsters. So all of a sudden, just right off the hop, you can lose 30 kilos off the top. When you're
Yeah,
talking about a large man like Jesus and the type of numbers he's posting up. So that also has to be said. Like legitimately a 30, 35 kilo swing on some of these because he's loading up a big deadlift. What do you think it is though? What does he do to fix that deadlift? Because I think it appears as though, anyways, on the outside, he gets his deadlift on track. We're right back into the 1150 range or up.
yeah. I think so the thing with his deadlift is has always been in the balance. Like even his 1152 performance, deadlift was overturned from bad to good. You know, so it's never been like, oh yeah, like 2023, Jesus had like, deadlift was just perfect. Like it was always in the balance. And I think for him, I was talking to him about it because I think he had asked me something about like grip or something like that. Um, but for him, I think it's a balance and act of like body weight, where like because obviously like the heavier you get is the more like chubby your hands and your fingers and stuff would get. But also the heavier you get is the more you could probably squat and bench and everything. It's a balancing act of like he's strong enough to deadlift 1,000 probably, but how heavy can I get while still holding on to my deadlifts and allow it to benefit my squat and my bench? But then also how much can I cut to get that grip in check while still not completely tanking my squat and my deadlift? Because I think for
Hmm.
2023 Sheffield, he was heavier than he's been for all the competition since that. So I just think that's what he's probably fighting right now is that like, okay, how can I find this balance and like recomposition around this weight so my squat and bench go crazy still, but I could actually like hold on to, 900 pounds plus.
Yeah, I mean, at 26, man, if you wanted to, Ray's doing it right up into his mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
I don't know if new competition's going to arrive though. People come out of nowhere, and that might also force him to drop the hammer and put the foot on the gas and make something happen.
Yeah.
We'll have to see, but for sure he's got one more good. He could conceivably have a couple more good performances if he has a crazy. If he wins his sixth world title and it's an absolute barn burner, or probably he'll finish off at Sheffield. Actually, if he drops a Sheffield where he does like he did in the first Sheffield, yeah, maybe that's when he hangs it up and he's like, I got it. That's
Yeah.
the one I wanted.
The thing is though, like as a powerlifter, and I guess as any sports person, it's so difficult to like quit while you're on top. Because it's like when you just had that huge win, that huge performance, the mindset is like I want more. Like when you
Yeah.
have like a 9 for 9 performance, record breaking at like the biggest meet ever, to be like, you know what, I'm happy with this. This is great. You guys can take it from here. It's tough because that's exactly when you want to keep pushing.
Mm.
Um, so I honestly think if he does have that big like 1170 performance or more, I think you change his mind, to be honest. I think you'd be like, you know what? I have a few more in me.
Honestly, to an extent, yeah, frick. But even just like winning titles, even if his totals come down a stitch from the first Sheffield, even winning title after title after title, just extend that run. If nobody could stop you, then do seven, do
Yeah.
eight, and let someone else come on after you and try to beat that mark. Like just do run a dynasty then. It's not like it's not fun. traveling the world, hanging out with people, and you're still the strongest man in the world. Like, what the hell? No one's
Yeah.
taking it from you. But
Eh, yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I could see that, but I also think that like one of the reasons why like a lot of us got into powerlifting is just simply to like make progress and continually like be better.
Mm.
And so I think if that aspect of it isn't there, then a lot of like the training and the stuff you might do for recovery and everything like that might just begin to seem tedious, you know, it might begin to seem like pointless. And that's where like injuries start popping up and everything like that. So I think if you don't have that like passion and that like desire for it, um, just simply running titles, it probably mightn't even be possible to be honest.
And also, when you're talking about a heavyweight, like a 400-pound man, there are not a lot of 80-year-olds who are 400 pounds. Like, it's not, you're humans aren't meant to be 400 pounds. So I could totally see if he was like, I want to make a run, but like earlier we said, he's got a family and he's like, look at it. Eventually, at some point, I'm going to drop some body weight, cut down, and just live my life and not be 400 pounds for, but now he's only 26, so he's got plenty of time. But there's also that, which I respect as well. Like Timur made a decision. He dropped a bunch of kilos and he's still out there doing his damn thing, but he's nowhere near as strong as he was at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes sense. What do you think so far in 2025? What was the most surprising performance to you?
Most surprising performance. Um, so I probably have a couple. I think Duran's at the World Games was pretty surprising for me. I think the fact that he like bounced back and hit that much of a PR in such a short
Quick.
span of time
Mm.
was pretty interesting. But he's also known for doing that though, because I think last year at the silent worker meet, he did the same thing where he like right after Will silent worker and then had a bigger performance.
The thing is,
Um,
872, man. Like, it's crazy how strong he's getting.
yeah,
Russ was doing 860 in the year before they did the Worlds, and 860 was the biggest any 83 had done. And remember, Joe B did 865. It was crazy. And the world record was 861 with Ade. Now Jones is 872. It's crazy how strong he is, late stage in his career. Like, he's
yeah,
doing massive gains. Like, I would agree that is it's shocking the second half of Jern's career.
it is insane really. And it's like it gives a lot of like hope to like old heads like myself because it's like you just want it shows that like you could keep making that type of progress into like your later years as well. So
Mm. Mhm.
yeah.
What about like a breakthrough performance?
Uh so you use the word surprising and I could say like Anthony's performance was surprising.
Hmm.
Um, you know, like maybe like Albert, Wills, like things like that. But those weren't surprising to me because like I was kind of like clued in on like their training and like their like trajectory for progression. Um Russ's 93 performance was you know what performance was actually very surprising, and then this is not maybe in the way that you phrased it. Taylor Atwood at NEPF. That was surprising to me. I
It
I was actually going to bet my house that he would have broke the world record total at that beat. I didn't
was
think
shocked
Russ
too.
would. I thought Taylor would. That was crazy.
I was shocked too because Taylor did 876 at US Nationals. In his
Yeah,
last deadlift, he just loaded up for the win. Like, it was not a total YOLO. Like, it was definitely within reason, but he definitely really overthrew. But if he could easily have done like a 5 kilo jump on his last deadlift and he would have been 881. Like, we're,
yeah,
we're talking, he only needed to add on probably top to top end, like under 10 kilos to his total. Under 10 kilos. Like, that's not much. And he wasn't an 83 that long. So he's going to conceivably be a bigger, larger, stronger Taylor Atwood, even still, the more time that went on. as an 83. So for him to add, because he weighed in like under 83 at US Nats. So for him to add under 10 kilos to his total, totally conceivable. I
Yeah.
also was pretty freaking surprised he did not hit 890.5.
Yeah.
I,
So that I would definitely say was one of the more surprising competitions. Like I was right there as well. Like and even down to the last deadlift, I was like fully convinced, like, okay, it'd probably be a bit of a grind, but he would finish it out. And yeah, just wasn't there.
how about Russ? How surprising was that? Now, Russ, um, under 93 kilos. So he actually gets the first 93 to do 10 times body weight.
Mhm.
But is he like comeback of the year? How about that? Is he so far? Because Sheffield as well. Remember, he took an L at Worlds with
Yeah,
the world watching, came back for Sheffield in a battle again against Germans, but also throw Addy in there to make it
yeah,
more spicy. So with a phenomenal battle of the 83s, won and then took the world record, two world records, 83-kilo world record, and then like 6 months later, a weight class up world record. So
yeah.
that's a huge comeback. Is that comeback of the year so far?
Comeback of the year. Yeah, I think so because I think like Russ had gotten to a point where just like everyone was just wanting to see him lose, and then he lost. And for him to come back and do what he's doing, first meet as a like an official 93, and just like have the day he had even after going to Guyana and everything like that is
Wild.
yeah is yeah
So,
that is definitely the comeback of the year. Sure.
dude, it's so wild that he went to the wrong country.
Yeah.
Hopped in an Uber. He made it all the way to the hotel, was checking in the whole nine. And he was checking into the hotel in
As
the
as
wrong country.
as soon as I saw him in like at the actual venue in Cayman, I was like, bro, please tell me you're joking on this story. I didn't think it was real. Like that doesn't happen. It's crazy.
I mean, he was because I think he was saying on the podcast he was purchasing the tickets and it was on his phone and you're not sometimes you see the full thing or you don't. He just saw the
Georgetown.
city and yeah, and then even the hotel was a chain that was in both countries, both cities, both so everything kind of lined up. So on
Yeah.
his phone, he's like, fuck it, he's ripping through his doing this real quick, not overthinking it. Anyways, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And he weighed in light because he's having some stomach issues. I don't know how far he's good. I'm interested. The 93s need Russ to do well so that it becomes spicy like this.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be more fun now with Russ involved. I'm not sure what to expect. I'm going to drop this podcast, but I did a yesterday or was it Friday? Friday, a podcast with Gavin, and obviously he's a 93, and he's talking. He wants to push like be the first 93 to do 1,000 kilos, and he thinks like the 90. What's the fun? Hey man,
What the hell?
what's up, dog? You just Bob Matthews him. you, you,
No, because like okay, so from my perspective, right, being the like lightest tested lifter to do 1,000, right? I did it a few times. It's just funny, like hearing everyone talk about 1,000. Like, so in the 120s, everybody spoke about 1,000. Nobody hit it yet. Then I think Anthony could, but Anthony never like spoke about it. He just is doing what he's doing, right? Like Anthony's super low key. So
Keenan
like
said it.
yeah, Keenan said it, then he didn't do it. Then to hear
Yeah, just a 93 now is like 1,000 kilos.
bro, I genuinely think by 2026, we're probably gonna hear 83 be like, yeah, I'm probably gonna do 1,000 by at
Yeah.
Sheffield. I think I
Well,
thought like it's just like the new like I don't know 225 bench or something.
um, yeah, I mean, look, Joe B. Fuck, could Joe B do 1,000 kilos in his lifetime? Probably. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. But so first off, well, okay, I want to talk about Anthony anyways. shocking performance in that. Well, I agree in terms of trajectory. But was Anthony, was it the most impressive performance to you, Anthony McNaughton?
At the World Championships or for the year so far?
Or how about for the year so far? Let's open this up a little bit. And that's interesting because obviously Joe B doing 900 as an 83 junior is insane.
Hmm.
But Anthony, what Anthony's doing is literally Bobb Matthews level.
Yeah,
And everyone talks about Bob like, like he's a freak, which he is.
yeah,
Anthony's up there. He's in that conversation.
yeah. I I do think it was the most impressive performance. Definitely at the World Championships, and maybe for the year, just because two things. One, the ease in which he did it. Like obviously I think he had missed his second squat on depth and then retook it. But besides that, like everything was pretty much like, he had room in the tank. That's one. Two, most lifters, Keiko, Joey B, Russ, a lot. Well, Russ didn't do the World Championships, but a lot of lifters who did P and that spoke about the turnaround time. So for him to hit what he did, international meet, travel as comfortably as he did,
Mm.
after that turnaround from P and which everyone spoke about, it brought down Joey B's total, it brought down Keiko's total, it brought down a lot of lifters' totals. That to me was incredible. And as you said, like it's Bob level, but he just doesn't like talk as much shit as Bob. So people are gonna like, like give him his flowers like fully. But
Mm.
he is definitely in like outlier territory, for sure.
Gotta be. And I think you're like, yeah, he doesn't talk, but he's such a nice guy. So
Yeah.
that's kind of working against him in terms of hype. He doesn't have like a main rival really as a
It
105.
could it could be Bob. I need to beat Bob
No,
body. Like I just need to like make him think there's no chance. And then you go down and face Anthony.
him versus Bob versus Anthony would be absolute at 105. So
Yeah.
Bob would have to cut, but that would be absolutely monstrous.
Yeah.
Bob Anthony 105.
Yeah.
That's a
That would be 1,000 kilo plus type battle in the 105s. Sure.
that's insane, man. That would make that would put everything else what we've seen in the 105s so in the rear view.
Mhm.
Also, we got Ashton coming back.
I
I
was
don't.
just I was just gonna say Ashton is probably listening to this and just like,
Well, I mean, I ain't looking past that. Like Ashton's a freak as well, and he
it's
like injuries and whatnot have pushed him back a stitch, but he's going to be at SBD Austin, and
yeah,
he's capable. Like remember, it wasn't that long ago. It was Taylor Atwood and Ashton who were like in the contention of who's the best powerlifter in the world today.
yeah,
And we're talking like 2 years ago or something. Ashton's capable. He's got to turn this bad boy around and remind people who he is. I don't
yeah.
know. We'll see at SBE Austin.
Yeah, I think it was like during like COVID, like probably 2020 to like 2022 was just like Ashton was unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like I don't know what happened exactly. As you said, like injuries, different things like that. Keenan and Bob both like snuck up, although he beat both of them.
He
And
beat both of them in his prime. That was prime Ashton.
yeah, it's crazy. But Ashton is younger than me though, so he should still be like, like in his prime. So we'll see.
He can. It just depends on how injuries plague you and if they're like reoccurring injuries and what the heck happens. I mean, look at freaking Jesse Norris, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Jesse Norris was a junior and already his career was completely wrapped up. It's nuts, man. The people who don't even know who Jesse Norris was.
There are people who don't know who Brett Gibbs is. It's crazy.
I wonder if there are people in New Zealand who don't know who Brett Gibbs is.
That would be sad. That's that's crazy.
Do
I
you
w-
think?
I was actually just like, I don't know what in the world happened with my YouTube account, but it started recommending me old Brett Gibbs, Josh Hancock videos. And I
Josh
watched,
Hancock.
yeah, while I was in NEPF, and I watched um like five of them. And I'm like, Wow, like like this is the glory days. Like,
It's it's wild. At sometimes I wonder if I should do somewhere are they now and like bring back like a Jesse Norris, a Brett Gibbs, or Josh Hancock. If they even want to come back to do like a podcast. Some of them are away and they don't want to come back. They
yeah.
don't want to do a podcast. They don't want to whatever. It is what it is. But I'm wondering like what happens with these guys? Do they just go on with life? And some of the OGs remember them?
Yeah.
Like it's just
It yeah, because I think when the injuries and stuff like that had first started to like plague Brett, I think you had said that you tried to get him on a podcast, but he said like, he just needs like some time or whatever.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so it would be interesting, but you also don't know like how well those episodes would do, because some people would probably just like see the name and it's like, well, who's that?
I know. This is what I'm thinking too. So I think it depends, man. It depends. I can vision both. I can envision me dropping like when I drop, a picture of Bob and I put
Yeah.
Monday and I put Monday and I say nothing else.
Mhm.
Or you know what? I dropped the picture of Bob very much blacked out so you can barely see it's him, but hardcores know it is.
Yeah.
Hardcore, I purposely darken the picture so it's difficult to even see necessarily make out facial features. But people who are hardcore could tell that was Bob. And
Mhm.
I said nothing. I didn't put Monday. I didn't put anything. It was a teaser. And the amount of likes and people replying to that story being like, oh, fuck. Are you are you alluding that Bob is coming back? And this is like breaking the silence and everything. The amount of people that it gets people so wound up. And now I know like I do that on purpose sometimes, right? Or I'll drop, like, for instance, with yourself, and I a picture of me and you, and I put the response. And
Mhm.
people will be like, oh man, you're quick with it. Can't wait to see this, whatever. And I wonder if what would happen if I got Brett on a podcast and I just dropped a picture of Brett Gibbs and then the word Monday. What would happen if people would be like so crazy, be like, holy shit, tell me he got Brett.
So what you should do is just do it as like a tester. Even like no podcast plans. You didn't even talk to Brett, and then you just post it and just Monday, and then based on the feedback, you send screenshots to Brett to convince him to hop on the pod.
The thing is, well, first off, the recipe works. Like when I do these kind of things, like now I know how excited people get, and people are like, oh shit. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. And then if I don't get Brett, then people are like, okay, this doesn't work anymore. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
And doubling back to what you said about initially, and this is now going back a few years, but yeah, I asked Brett, I'm like, Brett, you got to come on and we got to do a podcast. We got to like we're not just like where have you been? We'll want that. I want an update. What have you been up to, etc. For sure. What's life like after powerlifting? I'm intrigued, but
Yeah.
also, do you watch? Do you
Yeah.
pay attention? What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on that? What are your, I'm interested. I'm genuinely interested. Like, obviously, him and Russ were rivals. They went back and forth, 1-1.
Mhm.
Since then, what do you think of what Russ has blossomed into, or the 83s in general? Joe B just crossed 900 kilos, like all of it. Um, and yeah, Brett told me at the time, he's like, brother, me and powerlifting is not something like I want to talk about. This is too fresh and it'd be hard for him to talk about it because it was taken from him from injury in his prime. And he missed Sheffield. Like everything we're talking about, how amazing all these experiences are. He missed it all. I don't got to tell you. In a
Yeah.
lot of ways, a lot of what I'm saying, like not quite as bad as Brett. Like you're still competing, obviously, and doing your damn thing and about to come back. But Brett had it taken away from him and he can't come back. And
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not I don't want to talk about that. This is like rubbing salt in my wound type of deal. Like I'm paraphrasing, but I understood. I'm like, hey, say less. I got you. Take some time with it. Maybe as time goes by, you'll be able to. But I wonder if I ever got him, man, I think people go nuts. So first off, the reason why Brett is a stitch different than some of these other people is because he is attached to like Russ and Taylor. Him and Taylor went back and forth. Taylor, when Taylor won Best Lifter in 2019, and that's kind of like the peak of Taylor being like, I'm the pound for pound king.
Mhm.
Brett came in second, and Brett was like, actually, no, Russell would have won. I think Brett came in third. And but Brett was going back and forth with Taylor in terms of like the pound for pound and
Yeah.
like discussing and battling and whatnot. Um, yeah, I don't know.
Did Brett win best overall in 2018?
Wow, let me take a look at this. Let me take a look at this. Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah, because I think it would make sense that he won. If not him, then maybe I don't know if Sergey was still there or Ray. It could have been Ray because it was still
Yeah,
on
you
Will.
know what? I'm pulling it up right now. Yeah, it was Ray. Ray, Sergey, then Brett. You're right. It was those two. Because Ray and Sergey used to go back and forth. This is back in the Wilkes era.
Hmm.
And that's right. Now that I remember, Wilkes heavily favored the two guys on the like opposite ends, super heavyweight and super small, Sergey and Ray. And Brett was kind of caught in the middle. However, Brett was in by far the more populated weight class and
Yeah.
was the king of that weight class. And that's why Brett was saying, like, I think I'm pound for pound. And
Yeah.
everyone else, there's a lot of people who said, yeah, Wilkes greatly favors 59s and super heavyweights, which it did. And there was a lot of people saying, regardless of who's winning best lifter, I think it's Brett as well. So it
Yeah.
was, and then when Taylor came around and was like, no, now it's me. That's why Brett was like, nah, it's not you yet. Like I'm not done yet. And that's where the bit of they were going back and forth. See, Brett would go back and forth with you in social media.
It would. Yeah. And
Brett, that's
I think one of the reasons why like Brett, like his legacy is so crazy is because like a lot of the lifters who became like I guess staples in the sport, like he was like right there with them, like in rivalries or whatever. So like obviously Taylor, Russ, John, it's just like
not John Hack even.
yeah, like look at what all these guys became, like some of the best guys in the game, if not the best. So it's like
Yeah,
it's just crazy. Like what would Brett have been? So
I know.
yeah,
So I do. I got to get him, don't I?
you do. I would listen to it 100 times just to up the views.
It's to help the algorithm. You're like, I'm
Yeah.
doing this for it. Yeah. Yeah, I got to figure it out. I got to somehow freaking talk him into this and get a hold of me. Like, brother, listen to me. Enough time is look. We need to hear your story. I had him on the
Oh.
podcast like way back in the day, like at the time, like
Mhm.
2018 range when he was lifting and competing. But it has been a hot minute, and I'm intrigued, man. Him, I had Jesse Norris on back in the day. I don't think Jesse pays attention at all. As a matter of fact, even back in the day, Jesse didn't really pay attention. I remember when I had him on the podcast asking him about certain people, and he had no idea. I could tell he's being polite, but he had no idea who the hell I was talking about. And I'm like, okay, you you don't watch powerlifting, and that's fine. Not
Yeah.
everyone does. Um, and I would also be intrigued if you remember Hancock, the way like Josh Hancock and Brett Gibbs, like this is an era. They were
Yeah.
buddies, and Brett even moved to Canada for a little while, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And Hancock out of nowhere. Hancock was Red Hot Junior, won Junior Worlds. He posted saying, I am the best junior alive. I'm going to win best lifter at Junior Worlds. He was crazy confident. And then out of nowhere, right before the World Championships, he pulls out and
Yeah.
steps away. And that was it. Like he just
Yeah.
stepped away as a
Yeah.
junior. And we were all like, I'm sorry, wait a second. You just said like you're the best junior alive. I'm gonna win best lifter at junior worlds. I'm like the guy. And everyone's anticipating when you go into the open and like he was a star in the making. And then
Yeah.
he just stepped away and never came back. And it was like, what? I don't know, man. It was such a bizarre
It
moment.
was. I think he dropped a YouTube video about it though. That's like him sitting on a couch talking. I think it was injuries as well. Something with his back or something like that. And yeah, he just had to pull out. But I remember like Brett and Hancock, as you said, like they used to just like roll together all the time. They had a bunch of YouTube videos together.
Mhm.
Those videos, and then Russ's early like powerlifting YouTube videos. I think he started in 2015 with me. Those were just like pure motivation for me. Like I just used to watch like so much of that. So
Maybe Hancock's another guy I try to get on. Now that one, when you were saying, will people like tune in or will people not know? I think Brett, I dropped Brett because he's like open time world champion. He was battling those big guns, like we said. I dropped Brett, like Brett's back. I think it blows up. I think everybody goes crazy, and people who didn't weren't around for the Brett Gibbs era will be like, "What's this all about?" And people will hear about him. Hancock, I think it'd be more difficult. I drop a picture of Hancock. I think there'll be a lot of people who will be like, I don't know who this guy is. And
yeah,
then if they look up his numbers, they'll be like, who cares? Because his numbers compared to today will be nothing.
yeah. The ideal for the Hancock thing would be to like just have it be Brett and Hancock like in
Yes,
one
sir.
episode.
But then I don't know if, with all due respect, if Hancock's kind of sort of gets in the way because I want to poke at Brett with everything. You know what I mean? With
Yeah,
all due respect. I mean, Hancock didn't have any rivals. He didn't stick around long enough. He was more hype. He was crazy hype, and he was very popular at the
yeah,
time.
he was.
But he did not last very long. It is what it is. I don't know, man. Now I got to think about it. I got to try to make this happen. But nobody can get a hold of Brett even. Like no one sees him and stuff.
Hey, is he not on Instagram anymore?
Dog, I don't think so. Let's take a look. Hey, do you want to message him right now together, bro?
He is on Instagram.
I'm sending him the Zoom link right now. And I'm like, listen, me and Rondell want to know. Hold up. I'm gonna pull him. All right. He's on Instagram. Nah, but he hasn't posted since 2013. He ran a race. Damn near 2 years ago, he ran a race.
I see Brett randomly replying to my stories in like 2020 and 2019.
Really?
Yeah, he said he replied to some I can't see the story anymore, but he replied and he said, "Whoa, maybe it was like a big lift or something."
Dude, okay. So the last time I messaged Brett was November 21st, 2024. And I said, at some point, we got to do a show looking back at your career, your thoughts now looking back, and much more. And I think it would be amazing. He's seen it, did not reply.
Um, should I message him?
Dog, I'm messaging him right now. You know what? Should we message him together? Fuck
Yeah,
it.
what
I'm
should I
making a
say?
group. I'm making a group. Making a group right now, buddy. That's it.
Yeah, based on his like, well, he hasn't posted in a while, but based on everything, he just seems like he's just living the New Zealand dream.
Right. I just super much. You just read it. I seen you just read it.
Yeah, no,
All right.
I've heard.
Okay. All right. Look it. Listen, everybody. Maybe in the next 5 minutes, I might drop a break hips.
It's crazy.
I'll re- I'll restart. It'll be a brand new episode. It'll be me and you interviewing Brett Gibbs. Can you imagine? It is what it is. But yeah, and I think maybe even it was me and you talking about how in the future, like I think we've gotten past the point of people quote unquote being forgotten so much in the sport because of the digital footprint we now have that we didn't have as much back in the day. I think Brett's kind of sort of missed, well, he missed the boat on a lot of things. He missed Sheffield. He missed Worlds being Worlds what it is now.
Yeah.
2018, 19 isn't the Worlds it is now. After COVID, Worlds definitely changed for sure. And I mean, yeah, King of List was around back then, but it wasn't, now the podcasts are much more refined. There's more social media, et cetera, more digital assets being posted by massive companies like SBD and whatnot. But I think now, right now, certain people who win and are like out there like Brett was, if they retire, do you think they get forgotten in like 5 years? Actually, I don't know.
I think it depends on the person, to be honest. Like, and I think one of the things about powerlifting is like there's like a fairly high turnover when it comes to like I guess the general population of people looking at the sport and like competing in the sport. And I think that turnover is why like a lot of people from like older eras don't get remembered. But if you are somebody who's like just like a legend, like not just like somebody who was just good, like you were like a staple in the sport. I don't think you get forgotten in 5 years. I think it takes much longer than that. Like the fact that we're still talking about Brett, there were other people from Brett's era who were good, but they weren't like legendary. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think legends never die. That's the way the quote goes, right? So
Who's the
as long
legend?
as I'm powerlifting, I'm gonna be talking about Brett.
Yeah,
So
yeah, hell yeah. As long as I'm around, I'm talking about Brett for
yeah,
sure. Who's like we're not going to forget Jesus. Put it that way.
yeah, no, definitely not. No,
He's not getting forgotten. Ray Williams, obviously, stuff like that.
Taylor is not getting forgotten.
Taylor. Now let's talk about who is getting forgotten. No, I'm joking. You go, Gavin Aiden. Okay, we're we go. You start. I'm like, okay, take it easy. I was joking. I don't want your list,
Yo, you,
but
you, you know what I think makes someone memorable as well is their impact on lifters coming into the sport. So, like, I think someone like Russ, because he's gotten so many people into the sport,
mm,
in 10 years, there will still be people in the sport who got into the sport because of Russ. However, if someone was just good, but they didn't really focus on like I guess like putting out content or like being someone that people could look up to and things like that. I think you're more easily forgotten regardless of how good you were. Like somebody like Sergey Fedoshenko, like no disrespect to him, like exceptional lifter, but like at the end of the day, like we're not gonna forget him, but we're probably not gonna mention him as much as we might mention somebody like Brett, somebody like Russ in
mm.
in 10 years,
It's funny. In 2016, um, I remember being at that World Championships, talking to a junior, and it was weird for me to hear because I wasn't used to it at the time. But I remember this junior saying, "I want to be the next Brett Gibbs," and I remember thinking like, this is at a time when powerlifting was still on the come up. And you're used to hearing people say things like that in big, when they're talking about big name sports, like big time sports. You hear this kid wants to be the next and insert the superstar, whatever, that's their dream. And I remember at the time thinking how new it was for me to hear somebody say, I want to be like, and mention a powerlifter.
yeah,
I remember being like, wow, it's crazy that we have people like, it was crazy and new to even have powerlifters that were prolific enough that someone wants to be like them. That was new at the
yeah,
time in 2016. We
yeah,
take that for granted now.
yeah. And I think the catalyst for it is actually YouTube. Because when I was thinking about like all the guys who like I would consider to be like unforgettable in terms of like their impact on the sport. And YouTube is probably the thing because it's sort of like long form content where you could actually like connect with somebody and you could see like you could see them for like I guess the real like you could see exactly what they do. You could connect with them on like a different level. Because it's like Russ's YouTube videos, John Hack's YouTube videos, Brett's YouTube videos. That's the kind of things where it's like beyond just like a cool Instagram post where I like let's say I'm a new lifter, I think I could never do that. Seeing somebody go through like the process is like I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of thing that really like impacts the sport, you know?
Mm. I mean, it's like a freaking reality TV show that
Yeah.
anyone could do now. There's no barrier, and yeah, 100%. That's how you buy in on. I agree definitely. I think the YouTube is definitely a massive piece of it, and then you follow their journey, and there's like back and forth. That there's something to be said between two rivals, and are ultimately going to clash. And then even whatever preview shows get put out, you help hype. Like the preview shows, like break down the battles and re-say like, oh, this guy said this, that guy said this, and it's like, oh my god, they're gonna clash, and then you have like experts picking between them and dissecting. It's like, oh shit, this is good.
Yeah.
It made it previous to that. It must have been so much harder for people to give a shit what's going on in powerlifting
Yeah.
if there wasn't any of this.
Yeah.
It was
I think there were like magazines, right? Like because
yeah.
one of the videos I watched with Brett, he was featured on like some powerlifting magazine. I saw like was it like I don't know what the name of it was, but he was on the cover of a magazine. I was like, bro, powerlifting fell off. We don't have magazines anymore.
Powerlifting. Thing is, that magazine was probably not doing major numbers, but I remember magazines, man. There was a powerlifting magazine. I would buy it. It had like meet results, and it would have like the odd interview, and Brett was on the cover. There was IPF magazine,
Yeah.
and Brett was on the cover of IPF magazine, and in the background it said 800,
Mm,
and it was a picture of Brett, and it was Brett chasing 800.
yeah.
And that was, which is like crazy now that we're at 900. Now, Brett obviously went well over 800 in his career afterwards. Like he went way past that. But he was literally the cover boy. Like he was huge. And that was IPF putting him on the cover.
Yeah. It's
It
crazy.
was yeah, that was the day, man. It is what it is, dog. Looking back for us long. Did you get a little emotional there? Would you wipe out of your eye?
No, okay.
But 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 yeah, I got you. That's why, man, I want you to do like more of these podcasts with Johnny and get people on, leaving like even guys like Colton. Because you guys have had a few, you guys have people from the untested on, and
Mm,
it does make a difference to try to make these any of these athletes more relatable, tell their story, and get people to buy in so that they're watching these. And because I think Colton himself is probably underappreciated because he's in the untested, and the tested is much bigger right now. And
yeah.
there's probably he might be one of the biggest talents powerlifting has. And I bet you there's a huge chunk of people in powerlifting who don't know who he is.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like if you go to IPF World, there'll be a lot of people don't know who he is, which is crazy. Didn't
Yeah.
used to be like this.
Yeah. Or they might be like, oh, that guy that like did X lift
Yeah,
or something like that. Yeah. But they won't like know his name or like things like that, which is
it's
as you said,
wild. We
it definitely got like flipped upside down because the superstars in powerlifting used to be the untested guys.
yes,
Yeah.
like Steffi Cohen, Larry Wheels, like when they were around 2019 era, it's before the COVID shutdown. They were at their peak, and it was absolutely freaking nuts how big the untested was. And then after that, holy smokes, it's been a whole nother ball game. John's still around, but yeah, and they don't have head to heads and whatever.
Yeah.
Everything like we've already said. But anyways, listen, man, thank you for coming on the podcast. Much appreciated. I'm excited for Austin. It's freaking stacked. I'm going to be excited to actually be commentating you versus Bob. You guys have been circling each other for a long time. I'm intrigued what's going to happen. Like you, I don't know what Bob's going to bring necessarily, but if he's at 100%, he just got to make it close and give us reason to believe this is the beginning of a lovely series between the two of you. That's what he's got to try to hope for. And I'm actually interested in seeing what Nonso does, and you versus Nonso, you versus Bob. The second half of 2025 is big for you. 2025 is big for you, period.
Yeah.
2026, we start righting some wrongs.
For sure.
2026, we get back on track, and from there on out. Because how old are you now? 28?
29. Turn 29 this year.
20. I mean, for a 120, that's nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
you look at Jurgens and he's like 36-ish, 37, and he's
yeah,
hitting PRs and doing like 876, which is crazy huge. So you'll be around for a long time. You got enough time to win like 6 world titles, Sheffield, blah, 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 and leave your impact. Because that's the biggest, right? We're talking about when people are gone, will they be forgotten or remembered? Is this something that you think about where you're like, I got to drop the hammer so people remember me?
I do. Like, I don't want to leave powerlifting and then just like everybody's just like on to the next. Like I want my presence to be felt when it's here and when it's left, when I leave as well.
You got time. You got more than enough time. You win like 5 titles. That's an era. That's
Yeah,
like what Russ did. That's an era right there. You'll never be forgotten. And you are obviously young enough to win back to back to back titles. And you need opposition, and you got some opposition. And
yeah.
and you're gonna have it in 2025. Listen, man, thank you for coming on the podcast. I'll see you in Austin. We'll do these again. Maybe even trying to line something up in Austin. We'll see. And I hope you keep doing that podcast and keep pushing. And when you guys are ready, we'll hop on the podcast together. And
Sounds
we'll do
good.
a crossover, me, you, and Johnny. And for everybody listening, as per usual, please do subscribe, give us high ratings, and until next time, 6-pack Lapadat, 6 up, and we are out.